Tonight, the mixed messages on the economy, the first promising signs in months. But is it just a mirage? The GDP climbing 2.6%, higher than expected, and a signal the economy is growing. President Biden touting the good news in the final sprint to Election Day. But troubling signs tonight as well. Mortgage rates hit a 20-year high. Inflation still unbearable for so many. The NASDAQ plummeting. Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook going all in on the metaverse, but losing big time. The massive losses in the tech sector that has Wall Street worried. Failure to act, the disturbing new footage from the Uvalde, Texas school shooting. The body cam showing officers seen waiting outside, talking about not going in for fear of being shot. Then later in the hallway, as the gunman went on his deadly rampage, the outrage from parents tonight and the growing calls for the state's top police official to resign. The terrifying moments in New York City, an armed man hijacking a massive city bus, then crashing into a utility pole. What we're learning about the passengers and the driver on board at the time. The wrong turn hero. Dramatic video showing 4 siblings escaping from their burning home. How a man who had gotten lost while driving near their house ended up saving all their lives. Grandma arrested? The disturbing video, a 78-year-old put into the back of a squad car for giving out food to the homeless. The lawsuit she's now filing. Plus, Harry's tell-all, the release date and title just announced for Prince Harry's highly anticipated memoir, what readers can expect to find inside. And are you addicted? With people spending more and more time on their phones, the test you can take to figure out if you are too attached to social media. We'll take it right here with you. Top Story starts right now. And good evening. Tonight, a rare bit of good news on the economy. Growing for the first time all year. But are things really as they seem? Well, it depends where you look. Let's start with the positive. Come here. The GDP climbing more than 2.6%. That's higher than most estimates had predicted, fueled by higher consumer spending and a strong job market. But another metric was up as well today, and this one is not good news. The 30-year mortgage rate, the most popular in this country, now sitting above 7%. That's the highest it's been since 2002, making it more and more expensive to buy a home. And it was a mixed bag on Wall Street today as well. The Dow, it was up by 0.6%, driven by that better-than-expected GDP report. But take a look at this. The tech-savvy S&P and NASDAQ both falling today. And the NASDAQ plunge has a lot to do, I should say, with what we're seeing right here. Meta, formerly the Facebook stock, now at its lowest value since 2016. Look how it's dropped. Just below $100. But look at the ride it's taken from 2016. This is an incredible story. Going from $100 in 2016, reaching $400 just months ago, and somehow now crashing back down to $100. The plunge coming after a disappointing earnings report. Mark Zuckerberg betting big on the metaverse, a move that has yet to pay off. We'll have much more on the tech collapse in a moment. But we begin first with that good news. The president hoping to use to rally voters. NBC's White House correspondent Kelly O'Donnell leads us off.
A hot mic picked up Democrats' midterm election pressure today. Senate leader Chuck Schumer gamed out key races that could decide party control, including that face-off where Democrat John Fetterman's stroke recovery was on display against Republican Mehmet Oz.
It looks like the debate didn't hurt us too much in Pennsylvania.
President Biden gesturing with fingers crossed. And with just 12 days to go, the president seizing on an unexpected positive sign.
Great economic report today, the GDP report. Things are looking good.
A surprise rebound. The U.S. economy grew from July to September. The nation's gross domestic product posting 2.6% growth after shrinking in the first half of this year, fueled by consumer spending, exports, and a strong job market. The president in Syracuse, New York, urged voters to reject a Republican takeover of Congress.
They're determined to cut Social Security and Medicare, and they're willing to take down the economy over it.
While Republicans blame the president and Democrats for soaring inflation.
If you're tired of having a 401k that the Democrats have created to a 201k, if you're tired of paying too much for gas, we have a better path, a better plan.
Working mother of 2, Dion Lukow, says higher costs are a daily stress.
We're hanging on by a thread. We are hanging by a thread. I may just have to, instead of paying the whole light bill, I may have to just put something down on it so the kids can get what they need.
And for homeowners, a new sting. Rates for 30-year mortgages top 7% for the first time in 2 decades. The result of the Federal Reserve raising interest rates to counter inflation.
Kelly O'Donnell joins us tonight from the White House. And Kelly, the president's staying active as we get closer to Election Day. He'll be on the road again campaigning?
He will tomorrow. The president and vice president will be together with all of Pennsylvania's top Democrats. Appearing in Philadelphia, they'll be supporting candidates like John Fetterman, who's running for that critical Senate seat. And then next week, the president heads to New Mexico and Florida. Tom?
All right, Kelly O'Donnell leading us off. And one of the biggest headlines on the economy, of course, Facebook. We've been reporting for months on how Mark Zuckerberg is making a huge bet on the metaverse, a virtual world where he's predicting humans will want to live outside of their reality. But right now, that bet is falling flat. Shares of the tech giant falling 24% today to the lowest share prices since 2016, as we just showed you earlier. This coming on the heels of the company's announcement that its Meta Reality Labs division, get this, has lost $9 billion so far in the first 3 quarters of this year. Meta also warning investors the fourth quarter likely won't be any better. I want to bring in Jasmine Enberg. She's a principal analyst at Insider Intelligence. Thanks so much for joining Top Story tonight. So Zuckerberg reiterated his commitment to the metaverse yesterday, but onlookers have been skeptical about this product so far. Our viewers may remember the photo that Zuck shared of himself in the metaverse this summer, which, you know, he was sort of mocked online for a little bit. Do you think Meta has gone too far now, or is it too late to turn back?
Well, I think it's pretty clear at this point that Meta has no choice but to shift its focus back to its fundamentals. Its metaverse ambitions are clearly jeopardizing the short-term health of the company, and it's had 2 consecutive quarters now of revenue declines, which is unheard of for this company. At Insider Intelligence, we're also expecting Meta to have its first ever year-over-year decline in worldwide ad revenues for the full year 2022 this year.
So, you know, sometimes when it comes to tech, you can be too fast to the market. I'm thinking of the Segway. I remember, I think it was more than a decade ago when it was first announced in the Today Show. It was going to revolutionize the way we travel. And it took until now for those sort of personal mobility devices to really take off. So is Zuckerberg too quick into the metaverse? I know Microsoft is also having problems with their devices and making money there in the metaverse.
I think that's a fair analysis. You know, we are still many, many years away from the metaverse, the way that it's being promoted, even becoming a reality. I think the challenge with the metaverse is that it's not only about getting consumers to adopt it, but also getting them to adopt the kind of hardware that you need in order to use the metaverse. And right now, a lot of those devices are incredibly expensive, and the user experience is not quite up to par, as you mentioned.
If you bought Facebook as it was climbing, if it was at 200, 300, 400, you're probably worried today. Tomorrow is the 1-year anniversary of Meta's big rebranding. What do you think this company looks like next year?
It'll look different. We're actually expecting a little bit of a rebound in Meta's ad revenues in 2023, nowhere near to the levels that it had experienced in ad revenue growth over the past 10 years. But in terms of usage, I expect there will be a lot more competition, especially against Facebook and against Instagram. We've seen some of it this year with TikTok, and we're also seeing new social apps bubbling up. One of them is Be Real, and those apps are really capturing the attention of the coveted Gen Z audience that Facebook and now Instagram are having trouble holding on to. You
know, Jasmine, I also want to ask you about Google. Its parent company, Alphabet, posted one of its slowest quarters for revenue growth in nearly 9 years, and YouTube ad sales fell in Q3. Alphabet CEO said it would be responsive to this kind of economic environment, likely meaning layoffs. Is the economy to blame for Alphabet's slow growth, or what's really going on there?
Yeah, I mean, I think the economy is to blame for a lot of the slowdown for many of these companies. With Google specifically, now, Google is search ads, and search ads tend to be more resilient in times of an economic slowdown. But what's interesting about Google and Meta is that they have the same types of advertisers. Both of their core advertiser bases are small and medium-sized businesses that are really feeling the squeeze. Now, with YouTube, I think a lot of the problem also has to do with TikTok. We're seeing consumer behavior shift more and more away from long-form video and towards short-form video. And what we're seeing is that advertisers want to spend their short-form video ad dollars on TikTok.
Shaky economy plus more competition. All right, Jasmine Enberg, we thank you tonight for joining Top Story.
does. He has 8 or 9 children. That's what he said. He has 9 kids in it. 8 or 9. It's been about an hour.
That was newly released body cam footage from police who responded to the mass shooting at an elementary school in Uvalde, Texas. The officers, acknowledging those young victims, were trapped inside with the gunman for more than an hour. Outraged parents now calling for the state's top cop to resign. NBC's Morgan Chesky with more of that video tonight.
Inside Texas DPS headquarters, Uvalde families fighting through pain.
You basically lit a match and you set the town on fire. It's time for you, sir, to keep your word and offer your resignation.
Demanding DPS Director Stephen McCraw step down.
Are you a man of your word? Absolutely. Then resign.
McCraw at the center of today's meeting, intended to update the ongoing shooting investigation.
But I can tell you this right now. DPS is an institution, okay, right now, did not fail the community, plain and simple.
The school massacre in May now leaves the town in perpetual mourning. This as parent fury is growing louder over new body cam video obtained by NBC affiliate WOAI during the botched response by multiple law enforcement agencies.
This is so sad, dude. He shot kids, bro.
In it, you see Sergeant Juan Maldonado, the first trooper fired from the internal investigation, approached by multiple officers outside Robb Elementary.
What's the safest way to do this? I'm not trying to get clapped down.
And near the very classrooms where the gunman opened fire.
Does anybody know? There's 9 kids in it. 8 or 9. It's been about an hour.
It's disgusting. It makes me nauseated. They knew our kids were right behind that hallway. In that room, they were bleeding to death.
Uvalde plans to pay tribute to the 21 lives lost this weekend in an event called Remember Their Names. Meanwhile, the man in charge of Texas DPS stressing he's not leaving.
And with at least one officer fired and multiple facing termination, when would you plan on giving your resignation?
No, not right now.
Not right now.
No. Thank you. Thank you.
Morgan Chesky joins us now from Austin, Texas. Morgan, I know you were questioning McCraw as he left the meeting there. Did he have any other response to this stunning new body cam video showing his officer standing outside?
Yeah, Tom, that was my first question to the director as he was leaving the meeting. He told me that right now all evidence is being looked over as this investigation is ongoing, but he did not respond specifically to that video we just watched play out, showing those officers outside and inside, confused and still wondering what exactly to do more than 40 minutes after those gunshots initially rang out. Tom?
And Morgan, we do know the governor who is running for re-election and appointed the DPS director has stayed quiet on his current role, but today a Republican lawmaker called for his resignation?
Yeah, this is interesting. Congressman Tony Gonzalez, who represents Uvalde, spoke out just minutes after this meeting wrapped up here today, going on Twitter and joining what Democratic lawmakers have now been saying for months, asking Director McCraw to resign immediately. Tom?
Okay, Morgan Chesky with that stunning new video and a lot of new reporting. Morgan, thank you. We want to head overseas now to the latest on the war in Ukraine. Putin today denying plans to use nuclear weapons, but still continuing his relentless assault on Ukrainian cities. Cal Perry's on the ground in Kyiv tonight.
Facing growing pressure at home over Ukraine, tonight a defiant Russian president. Vladimir Putin blaming his invasion on the West, saying they wanted this conflict. One day after overseeing Russian nuclear drills, now Putin saying he has no intention of using nuclear weapons. But in Ukraine, Putin's war is everywhere. In the southern city of Bakhmut, the battle rages and civilians are again caught in the middle. In Russian-occupied Kherson, the fighting is fierce. Just as the Ukrainian army looked poised to break through, a cruel twist as the Russian army forcibly removes civilians, saying anyone who remains will be treated as an enemy. And in Kyiv, the reality of this war is never far. These are the wives of Ukrainian POWs held by Russia. We met Ivana. Her 26-year-old husband, Dmitry, disappeared 4 months ago fighting in the east.
Worry about him and we want to back home.
Cal Perry joins us now tonight from Kyiv. Cal, so heartbreaking to hear and to see those families who have been torn apart by this war. Does Ukraine feel optimistic those who voluntarily left will be able to return anytime soon, or are they still cautioning them to stay away?
Yeah, we've had some stark warnings in just the past 24 hours from a senior government official who's urging Ukrainians that are abroad to stay abroad, asking them not to return home, Tom, in what would now be this war's second winter.
And Cal, you mentioned Russia there at the top of your report. We're learning of a warning Russia gave to the U.S. and its allies today.
Yeah, so we understand that they warned they could start targeting American commercial satellites, though I have to tell you, when you talk to officials here or just people on the ground, there's a great deal of suspicion about the capabilities of the Russian army. This is an army that proved it could not resupply itself, so the idea that they could hit satellites, a lot of people here find very suspicious, Tom.
Okay, Cal Perry from Kyiv Tonight for us. Cal, thank you. Back here at home to a very strange story out of Arizona. A woman is suing after she was arrested for feeding the homeless in a park. The city says it's about ensuring the safety of its vulnerable population. She says they violated her civil rights. Nyla Charles has her story.
Here's the bad news. You're under arrest.
Startling police body camera footage edited and shared by nonprofit Institute for Justice shows the moment an Arizona grandmother was arrested for feeding the homeless in a park back in March.
Technically, I'm supposed to be handcuffing you and everything, too. But
Bullhead city officers sparing the cuffs.
I'm not out to hurt anybody.
But not the backlash.
I think this is a PR nightmare, but okay.
Bullhead City says Thornton is the first and only person to be arrested since the city created an ordinance last year banning food sharing events in public parks without a permit.
I thought I was going to go to spend some time in jail.
Thornton spoke to our affiliate.
Through my life, I have been on the edge of serious poverty. As a result, when I came here, and I've always tried to, when I had plenty, tried to share.
Good news is, all I'm going to do, get your fingerprints, all that stuff, and I will bring you right back here.
Now Thornton's attorneys from the Institute for Justice say officers detained her in the car, then released her. They're helping Thornton sue the city in federal court, saying the existing ordinance is unconstitutional. According to the lawsuit, she was required to go to court facing Class 2 misdemeanor charges, punishable by up to 4 months in prison. The lawsuit says she rejected a plea deal of community service and 2 years probation. After that, the city attorney dropped the criminal charges against her, the suit says.
Why are you taking up Norma's case?
What happened to her is not only wrong, but it's unconstitutional. We want to establish in the courts that you can't do that in this country.
Okay. Well, I'm going to call my higher-ups and figure out how we're going to handle this, okay?
Bullhead City officials telling NBC News in a statement that the ordinance does not stop individuals or groups from distributing food or drink to a homeless person or any other person in a city park if the food or drink is sealed, prepackaged foods readily available from retail outlets and intended for consumption directly from the package. Further saying Thornton just needs to get a permit if she wants to feed the homeless at the park.
I have always believed that when you have plenty, you should share.
Norma Thornton may be doing a nice thing feeding the homeless, and the city of Bullhead may be doing a mean thing prohibiting her from doing it. But that doesn't mean that the city of Bullhead's laws are unconstitutional. Feeding the homeless is a nice thing to do, but it's just not constitutionally protected activity.
The lawsuit says she hasn't gone back to serve food in the park out of fear she will do time for the crime.
This lawsuit really is just about letting her be able to go back in the public park, share her food in the public park, just like other people are able to share their food.
All right, Nyla joins us now live from Los Angeles tonight. So, Nyla, if that grandmother, Norma Thornton, loses this lawsuit, if it's tossed, what does she plan on doing? Clearly, she has a big heart.
Yeah, clearly, Tom. But since she can't feed the homeless at the park now, her attorney says she's now doing it at a nearby private alley instead, which, according to the city ordinance, is okay since it's on private property. But she says she's not able to help as many people there. Tom?
Okay, Nyla Charles, a very, very bizarre story. We appreciate it. All right, we want to head to Florida now, where it's been 1 month since Hurricane Ian slammed into the state as a near Category 5 storm. Many residents now beginning the long road to recovery, but we're just starting to see some signs of progress. And this is incredible, right? This was the Sanibel Island Causeway. Right after the storm, the roadway becoming a symbol of the devastation. You can see here how it's completely split. But here it is now, reopening last week with temporary repairs. Look how incredible this is. The entire bridge completely repaired. For so many, though, there's still a lot of work ahead. NBC's Sam Brock is there on the ground for us tonight.
Just about any street on Fort Myers Beach reveals the depth of devastation.
Really, it's unimaginable. I mean, pictures don't do it justice.
There are still vacant lots, cars tilted in debris piles, boats sticking out of streets, and the sea.
Probably half people's are emotions like that. Half sinking, half don't know what's going on under the water, and the other half we can see.
140 are confirmed dead, but at least 5 people are still missing, including Denny Hurst, who was living on his boat in this marina.
This not knowing is just killing us.
We recently spoke with his daughter, Shannon.
Today is day 27. I'm counting every day. Dead or alive, I don't care, just find him.
Despite such tangible pain, there is also hope.
Really, the strength of this community, nobody can underestimate what we're going to be able to do.
The mayor of Sanibel Island showing us some of the work already underway.
We are basically tasked to rebuild a city. The level of destruction, it's not singularly focused in one location. It covers the entire island.
Officials here say efforts to repair the Sanibel Causeway almost defy logic. A short-term fix in 4 days, and then a long-term solution in less than a few weeks, patching 5 different breaches and bringing critical resources back online. Back in Fort Myers, Jennifer and Robbie Podgorski's home is unlivable.
The water just came up through the floorboards.
And it's not just their house that was destroyed. What is left of your Green Cup Cafe now?
It's the cafe's gone, nothing. It's a gutted skeleton of what it used to look like.
Their shop is wiped out, but their hearts are full after dozens of people stepped up to help.
It was just everything when our culture talks about the word community. It was everything that word truly meant. And it was amazing.
A community binding together by generosity of soul and spirit. All right, Sam Brock joins us now live tonight from Fort Myers Beach, Florida, one of the areas hardest hit by Hurricane Ian. Sam, I know it's been a month. Can you lay out what it looks like there now?
One of the craziest things about this, Tom, many of us who first stepped foot on Fort Myers Beach after Hurricane Ian were thinking, I cannot believe or digest what I'm looking at. It still looks like that 30 days later. Check this out, okay? Here is a house. We've seen homes on top of other homes. This house is crumpled like an accordion underneath it, and the debris stacks. That is something notable here, Tom. This is about 6 or 7 feet. I'm 6.5 feet tall. This goes at least to that height in the middle, maybe even a little bit more. You can drive down Estero Boulevard, which is the main sort of thoroughfare here. There's 12, 14-foot stacks of debris still several weeks after this hit. So the point is, this is a community right now where they've been able to do some small things cosmetically. But I'm standing right now on a plot of land where there is just a foundation. The rest of this has been sheared away. Of course, the homes are missing their bottoms if they even have anything left at all. That is the reality still on the ground in Fort Myers Beach and many other places.
Still a long way to go. Clearly, we can see that there. Throughout your reporting over the last few weeks, we've heard from a lot of people who said they aren't coming back. What's going to happen to their homes now?
Here's the difficulty. Some people do want to leave. They do want to sell. More actually still tell me, especially here in Fort Myers, a vacation destination, they're going to put down roots and rebuild once again. But the most difficult thing if you want to leave is those insurance adjusters that are coming down here. They have to figure out, where does the flood damage end and the wind damage start? Because the flood damage, even if you have flood insurance, is capped at a certain level. And that's really where the biggest amount of damage has been inflicted. So you have people that are going to be out here looking, examining these layers of homes to try to figure out where that line of demarcation is. That will take months in its own right, just to get someone also out here to inspect homes that are not necessarily structurally stable. Also an issue.
And Sam, finally, I want to end on something positive, the Causeway. It's incredible that it was built back in less than a month. I've covered a lot of hurricanes. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that. How did they do it?
I asked the mayor of Sanibel Island. She has no idea. She said, I'm not an engineer. But they used dirt and gravel and sand, and they caked it into these 5 different breaches in the bridge. You see it, just massive mounds of sand buttressing against the bridge. And somehow that worked. They accomplished the miraculous, Tom.
All right. Sam Brock for us. Some great reporting out of Fort Myers. Sam, we appreciate it. Still ahead tonight, the hijacking on the streets of New York City. A man forcing his way to the front of a bus during the busy morning commute. What we're learning about the passengers who were still on board. Plus, the terrifying moment 4 siblings woke up to find their home in flames. How one driver's wrong turn may have saved their lives. And Prince Harry is finally ready to talk. His new memoir heading to bookshelves soon. Why he's calling it The Spare. Top story just getting started on this Thursday night. watching the Lehman family running from their home. It was engulfed in flames, as you can see, the children escaping in the nick of time. This extraordinary footage capturing the raging fire and the Good Samaritan who saved all their lives. The Lehmans now coping, though, still with unimaginable loss. Jesse Kirsch explains.
Tonight, the terrifying fire that almost claimed the lives of 4 siblings. It's all caught on camera. They survived thanks to one Good Samaritan who wasn't even supposed to be there.
I was just kind of out and about late at night, and I happened to drive and take a wrong turn.
Around 2 a.m. on October 23rd, Brendan Burt says he was trying to drop off a friend when he got lost in Red Oak, Iowa.
I just remember driving by the house, looking to my left, and I just see flames on the porch, and I just knew that it was going to get real bad real quick.
A quick-thinking Brendan says he got out of his car and immediately called emergency services, but he didn't just wait for them.
Took a step back. The heat was just so crazy, so I went to the side of the house. I couldn't see nothing. It was so dark. I just pretty much just started knocking, just going crazy.
Inside the house, 4 siblings fast asleep, despite the blaze raging on the porch.
I woke up because I heard the banging and the screaming outside of the house.
14-year-old Spirit Lehman says she acted fast, waking her little brother Christopher and her big sister Kindred. The 3 of them then rushing out of the burning house almost immediately. Moments later, their older brother, Bryce Harrison, emerges as well. But sadly, 5 of their 8 dogs didn't make it out.
Immediately after my oldest son exits the house, there's an explosion, and that explosion completely engulfed the staircase. There was no way that they could have made it down.
The children's mother, away in Montana at the time, rushed back home as soon as she heard.
I immediately kind of kicked into mom mode and was like, okay, I need to find these guys a place to stay. My friend had gone over there, gotten them clothes, taken them home.
The Lehman family now picking up the pieces and counting their blessings while remaining hopeful for the future.
My husband and I, we built a beautiful life from nothing once. I have faith that we can do it again. The community has really rallied around us with clothing donations and blanket donations and food.
4 siblings saved by a wrong turn gone right. Jesse Kirsch, NBC News.
All right, we thank Jesse for that story. And a GoFundMe has been started to help the Lehman family rebuild. They've raised so far about $3,800. Okay, when we come back, a former SNL star attacked. Chris Redd punched and bloodied outside of a popular comedy club in New York. The hunt for the suspects tonight. Stay with us. Okay, we are back now with Top Stories Newsfeed, and we begin with the former North Carolina nurse charged with murdering her patients. Jonathan Hayes, his patients, accused of administering a lethal dose of insulin to 2 patients at a hospital in Winston-Salem in 2021 and earlier this year. He had administered a near-fatal dose of insulin to a 3rd patient, but she survived. Police are now investigating if there are more victims. A New York City bus was hijacked during this morning's commute. Several surveillance cameras capturing the hijacked bus as it traveled through a Queens neighborhood. Police say the suspect boarded a packed bus armed with what appeared to be a gun. The driver opening the doors to allow passengers to flee, and after 30 blocks, jumping out of his own window to escape. The suspect took control of the bus, but then crashed into a utility pole. He was taken into custody. The weapon, get this, turned out to be a BB gun. Okay, now to a helicopter crash off the coast of Louisiana. New aerial footage from the Coast Guard shows 2 people on a life raft in the Gulf of Mexico, about 45 miles offshore. This is offshore Morgan City, an oil rig crew boat spotting the men and calling for help. The Coast Guard airlifting the 2 men to the hospital where they are in critical condition. The 3rd person was found dead inside of that helicopter. The cause of the crash is under investigation. And former SNL star Chris Redd was attacked outside one of his comedy shows. The comedian was reportedly punched in the nose while walking into New York City's famed Comedy Cellar. Redd was taken to the hospital but is expected to be okay. Police are now searching for that suspect. Next tonight, Prince Harry announcing the release date for his highly anticipated memoir, Spare. The book coming out on January 10th, promising to be filled with insight and revelation. The announcement made less than 2 months after the passing of his grandmother, Queen Elizabeth, as many anticipate the book could open old wounds and expose royal family secrets. I want to bring in NBC News royal commentator Daisy McAndrew. First, the title of the book is Spare, Daisy. Can you talk to us about the significance of that title and where it comes from?
Yes, it's a bit of a stinging title. There is an expression, it's a sort of quite a damning expression here, that in the royals you have the heir and the spare, meaning the heir to the throne, in this case, of course, William, and the spare, which is normally, has traditionally been a brother who's the second or third born. So spare is very much a nod towards this not terribly flattering description of the second child of a monarch, which of course is what Harry is, and somebody who's often slightly looked down on as not quite the real deal.
Yeah, living in the shadow of the heir, if you will. We've been told the book starts with Diana's death and that moment that was seen around the world of a young Harry and William walking behind their mother's coffin, an image so many of us can never forget. How much insight into Harry's experience do you anticipate we will get?
I think we will get a deep insight into his experience and into his emotions, and as he would call it, his recovery throughout the last few decades since that iconic moment where so many billions of people literally around the world saw the sight of these two grief-stricken boys walking behind their mother's coffin. It's an image that, as you said, Tom, so many of us still can see in our mind's eye. And we know from interviews and discussions that Harry's given in the past, it's a moment that is still seared on his memory and that he clearly thinks was a moment of trauma that he needed really a considerable amount of therapy to get over and to come to terms with. But I still think that he will feel very raw in the way that he describes that moment in this book. And of course, we know that he will be very open about his mental health problems, about the therapy that he's had, because he has talked about that so much recently and wanted to use his own story to help others.
Daisy, we know the release of this book was delayed. There's been a lot of speculation. It had to do with the Queen's passing. Do you think the death of Queen Elizabeth had any kind of impact on what Harry chose to write and possibly expose while she still was alive?
It's a difficult one because in many ways, if you think about this logically, if the Queen were still alive today and the book was to be published imminently and had details that would have upset her, well, then in some ways that would have been worse, wouldn't it, for her to have lived through that in her dotage, in her sort of mid to late 90s. But of course, the flip side of the fact that she has died is that his father, Charles, is now the king. And that brings other problems with it as far as Prince Harry is concerned, because whatever he says about his father, Charles, and particularly about his stepmother, Camilla, has an extra potency now that they are king and queen.
And Daisy, you know, what do you believe, or who do you believe, I should ask, is going to be the largest target in this book?
Well, I've just mentioned her, and I think it might be Camilla, or I think it might have been Camilla in what we think were the first drafts of this book. And we're led to believe that it has been subjected to quite a bit of toning down. And somebody put it to me today that perhaps it's been a bit vanillaed in the last few weeks so that it doesn't land those really heavy punches that perhaps it would have done had the Queen not died, had Charles not been on the throne now. Because, of course, the relationship between Harry and his father and his brother, we know, has been strained. Many people, certainly in this country, are keeping everything crossed that those relationships can be rebuilt. Having said that, Harry has been paid an awful lot of money for this book, the first of a 3-book deal. And no business, a book publisher or any other business, is going to pay millions, tens of millions of dollars for something that they don't get a return on. So they're going to need to sell books. They're going to need to get a lot of publicity around this book. And if the book is boring and doesn't contain any bombshells, well, then the publishers are going to be very disappointed.
Daisy McAndrew for us tonight here on Top Story. Daisy, we appreciate it as always. We turn now to the Americas. Brazil, the world's 4th largest democracy, heading to the polls this weekend. A nail-biting presidential election between the current president, Jair Bolsonaro, and former president, Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva. But the election now played with widespread misinformation, leading to a government crackdown on social media sites and political ads. NBC News' Gadi Schwartz has more. Tonight, voters in Brazil bracing for what has become one of the closest and most polarizing elections in the largest country in Latin America. Two presidents face-to-face in a runoff election between current conservative President Jair Bolsonaro and leftist leader, former President Lula da Silva.
O meu voto foi no Lula, porque as coisas estão muito caras depois que o Bolsonaro entrou.
Bolsonaro 2023 vai mudar o nosso país.
Both candidates entering the race with political baggage. For Lula, this would mean a comeback after serving 2 terms between 2003 to 2010. Later convicted in 2018 on money laundering and corruption charges, serving more than a year and then later freed after a Supreme Court ruled he was denied due process. Meanwhile, Bolsonaro has been one of the most polarizing figures in the country's history, often called Tropical Trump because of his blunt and incendiary rhetoric, challenging democratic norms and calling into question the upcoming election. And now both candidates today facing a mutual rival in the form of widespread misinformation filled with false claims of cannibalism to Satanism.
False claims thrive is in sort of vilifying the opposition with some false narrative, like they made a pact with the devil in a country that is fairly religious. And so, that might resonate with people who didn't show up at the first round to show up again.
Falsehoods reaching damaging heights. Rumors circulating on social media claiming Lula is affiliated with Satanism and would close churches, to allegations Bolsonaro confessed to cannibalism and pedophilia.
We see a lot more of these false claims coming out of Bolsonaro supporters, not limited to any side of the political spectrum.
Now the government responding. Brazil's electoral authority announcing it's banning false or seriously decontextualized content affecting the integrity of the electoral process.
Having a court being able to decide what is and isn't permissible speech when it is in the political realm is also very complicated, right?
Enacting some of the strictest free speech restrictions as a result. In the final days before the elections, social media companies like Facebook and YouTube will be given just 1 hour to take down misinformation. And for every hour the content stays online, companies will face a fine of up to $28,000 per hour and potentially be blocked off Brazilian servers for up to 24 hours.
Eu espero que seja o segundo turno limpo, sem nenhum tipo de manipulação.
Hopeful thinking as the world's 4th largest democracy is put to the test this weekend. All right, with that, Gadi Schwartz joins us now from Los Angeles. Gadi, so much at stake in this election. Not only ongoing relationships for Brazil and countries that may be at odds with our country, the United States, but some are also saying the future of the Amazon rainforest.
Yeah, Tom, taking a look at the Amazon, it is important to keep in mind how big of a role it plays in the global climate. For example, complete deforestation in the Amazon would reduce rainfall from here in California all across the United States, the agriculture fields throughout the Midwest. And we've seen Bolsonaro roll back a lot of the Amazon protections over the last few years, while Lula is promising a sort of Green New Deal with more protection along with a transition to a green economy. But here's the thing. Right now, polls are very close. Lula is ahead by around 6 points, but even if he does win, there will still be widespread support for Bolsonaro in Congress, so any sweeping changes would likely be an uphill battle. Meanwhile, if Lula does win, it would be another massive left-wing victory in Latin America. Colombia, Chile, Honduras, Peru, others, all now with leftist governments that seem very interested in reevaluating their relationship with the United States.
A major shift in balance, that is right. Okay, Gadi Schwartz for us. Gadi, great story. Coming up, the soccer star stabbed. The Premier League defender attacked inside an Italian supermarket. What we're learning about his injuries next. Back now with top stories Global Watch, and ISIS has claimed responsibility for a deadly terror attack in Iran. New surveillance video shows one of 3 gunmen opening fire inside a Shiite shrine in the city of Shiraz. At least 15 worshippers killed and dozens injured. Iran's supreme leader had tried to blame nationwide protests for the attack, but there's no evidence to support that claim. Spanish soccer star Pablo Mari hospitalized tonight after he was stabbed in Italy. The Arsenal defender was one of several victims after a stabbing spree at a supermarket near Milan. At least one person has died, and the attacker is in custody. Mari was stabbed in the back, but is expected to survive. He's currently on loan to AC Monza from Arsenal. And if you think there are problems with the U.S. Census, the one in Bolivia is sparking violent protests. New video shows officers firing tear gas at crowds of demonstrators in Santa Cruz after some protesters there set off fireworks and blocked roads. Many are protesting the government's decision to delay the census until next year. The survey's results impact the distribution of economic resources and define the seats in the country's parliament. Okay, when we come back, are you addicted to your phone? The average time spent on social media up more than 60% in the last 10 years. The test to see if the amount of time you spend online is unhealthy. We're going to take it, and so can you, right here, next. Is the amount of time we spend scrolling and liking and posting actually harmful? In a few minutes, we have a test to find out if you're addicted to your phone. But first, NBC News Now anchor Savannah Sellers takes a look at how addicted so many have become to social media.
From Facebook to TikTok to Instagram to Twitter, the number of social media platforms keeps growing, and with it, the amount of time people spend on them.
I'm hitting 6, sometimes 7 hours just checking throughout the day.
Initially designed to increase connections, social media is now having the opposite effect. More users report developing addictions.
You might seriously need to consider doing a dopamine detox.
Maritza Artola is a digital marketer, her family calling her out.
My daughter started pointing it out to me, and she would grab my phone to get my attention. And that really, that really put it in perspective for me. I'm like, this is too much.
The average daily time spent on social media has increased 63% since 2012, according to an internet tracking site.
So I definitely saw my usage go up every year to the point where, last year, I think it was like 5 hours a day on my phone.
When virtually everything is online these days, from school to work to doctor's appointments, it can be hard, but not impossible to unplug.
I am going to show you how to invest in the stock market.
Nate O'Brien is a popular YouTuber who makes videos on personal finance.
Every 2-3 minutes, I would just be getting a buzz on my phone, and I'd say, okay, well, what's this? It might be something important. I have to look. Oh, it's just a Twitter notification, but it's kind of funny. And then I click on it, and then I end up in this social media vortex, and I'm just in it. Suddenly, 45 minutes go by.
Experts recommend doing a digital detox where you intentionally reduce or completely disconnect from your devices for a period of time. It can be as little as an hour, 1 day a week, or more.
I've been training myself now where I'll go days without using my phone, and I've gotten very good at it. But initially, when I tried doing that, it was tough, and it was like I would always be reaching for it.
Maritza feels she can't completely detox, but is trying to wean off, trying to replace screen time in the morning with things like meditation.
I am a firm believer in taking small steps because I believe that leads to sustainable changes instead of just saying not to check your phone at all, maybe replace it with something else too, another activity.
And that was our Savannah Sellers. We thank Savannah for that. For a closer look at just how big of a deal this is, and if you may also be struggling with an addiction to social media, I want to bring in Dr. Brian Boxer-Wackler. He's the author of the new book, Influence, the Impact of Social Media on Our Perception. Doctor, thanks so much for joining Top Story tonight. And before I ask you more about the research in your book, I do want to first ask you about your experience. I know you suffered from a serious addiction to social media. You called yourself a digital deadbeat dad, and you're not a psychologist, you're not a psychiatrist, you're an ophthalmologist. So talk to me about your journey and why you wrote the book.
It was really unexpected because during the pandemic, when life slowed down, my twin daughters, who were 14 at the time, said to me, "Dad, there are some really good doctors on TikTok, and if you're interested, we can help you get started." And I said, "As long as you don't make me dance, I'm in." So they got me started, and I found a niche pretty quickly, observing that there's a lot of viral videos in the health realm, particularly, that may not necessarily have accurate health information that people are relying on. So I started duetting or calling out those videos and developed a little hat with a blue hat saying CAP, because CAP is Gen Z ease for not true, or calling out the videos that were true and endorsing them by saying that they are not CAP, which means true. And I found that these videos were getting hundreds of thousands or millions of views, and I'd wake up in the morning and find that I have 20,000 new followers. And this just became a vicious cycle of more and more wanting to get that dopamine hit, and that's what makes you feel good. That's what's happening here under the surface. And dopamine is a neurochemical in our brain that's the same exact one why people get addicted to other things such as gambling, sex, and drugs. And it just spiraled out of control for me and caused a lot of stress with my family.
It's incredible that that kind of relief you get, that hit of dopamine, is the same from drugs or gambling that it is for social media. In the book, you talk about a test, if you will, that you can give yourself. And I'm going to take it actually right now. We have it here. Walk us through this, because you have 6 big questions that you should ask yourself to find out if you're addicted to social media.
Yeah, so let's go through this test here. So the first one is, do you find that is social media the first thing that you check in the morning, sometimes while you're even still in bed, and it's the last thing you see at night? The second one is, do you constantly check social media for fear of missing out? And the third one is, are you always scrolling as if you're playing the slot machine at a casino and not even realizing how much time has flown by? And the other ones are, for example, are you finding that you get this rush, or that you are getting this, when you're listening to other people, are you listening just with one ear while you're basically just craning your neck over your phone? And number 5 is, do you get this rush when someone likes or engages with one of your posts as if they're a real friend? And lastly, are you unable to not check your phone when you hear that notification or the buzz or the vibration from Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, or YouTube? And if you answered yes to any of these, and you're finding that it's interfering with your ability to work productively or study in school and get good grades, or even, as in my case, it was interfering with relationships, those are the hallmarks of an addiction.
So you're saying if you answer just yes to one of those 6 questions, and I marked off 2 here, unfortunately, you may have an addiction to social media?
You could, but you have to also answer the other question, is it interfering with activities in your life? So that's the key second one that has to be hinged to, because in my case, it was causing a lot of stress. I wasn't even listening to my kids. I was in the kitchen. I work off of an iPad for TikTok and Instagram, for example, and they'd be telling me about their day as their dad, which normally you'd be really interested in, but I was so engrossed.
Right.
I was pulled into that world.
You got hooked. Doctor, real quick, because we're running out of time, give us some healthy tips on how to get off that social media addiction, or should you just stop cold turkey?
It can be very stressful to stop cold turkey, but people can try. But I think first start with something easy, like turn off all notifications on your phone, including the vibrations. And number 2, don't keep your phone by your bed so that you're not going to be so tempted to check it. And number 3, if you're going to a party or you're going out to dinner or spending time with friends, leave your phone at home or in the car so you can focus on the most important things in life, which is spending time with real people in the flesh, not on your virtual friends in that space.
Wait, hold on. I'm just liking something on Instagram. No, I'm just joking, Doctor. It is so true. It is so real. That test is eye-opening, and I look forward to reading your book. Thanks so much for coming on Top Story tonight.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me, Tom.
All right. And we thank you for watching Top Story. I'm Tom Llamas in New York. Stay right there. More news on the way.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.